Good evening and thanks for spending your Sunday with us. I'm Brooke Buckner. Here are some of the stories we're bringing you tonight. Many around the country are now weighing in after President Trump's major announcement on the attack in Iran. We'll show you the response from Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And did Fayetteville police break the law during a traffic stop that ended with a man in ICE custody? The answer from the city's attorney amidst a back and forth between leaders. Plus, a celebration of culture today in North Little Rock as the Mind Your Black-Owned Business Expo is back in town. The reason its founder says the event is so important. Thank you for choosing THV 11 tonight. I hope you've been enjoying your weekend so far. We start tonight with weather as we bring in meteorologist Simone Thomas. Simone, the heat is obviously top of mind, so much so that you have actually extended our weather impact alert for another day.
Yes, Brooke, that's correct, because we are kind of getting into the summer season and it's still a little bit jarring for a lot of us, this heat. We saw the expansion of the heat advisory into Monday, so we are going to extend the weather impact alert for another day. Same story as what we've been talking about through the weekend, kind of lining up with the time of those heat advisories. So 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. with those heat indices nearing 105 degrees. Of course, we're headed back to work tomorrow, so maybe not as out and about as you were this weekend, but as you're headed to work, remember to stay hydrated. If you are somebody that works outdoors, take frequent breaks. Probably not the most ideal week for lunch on the patio just because it's not going to feel very comfortable. The heat advisory for today continues through 8 o'clock. That does include Central Arkansas and the Little Rock Metro. Through tomorrow, you see some of Southern Arkansas shaved off and some of North Central Arkansas shaved off, but still for most of Central Arkansas and the Little Rock Metro, we're going to see that heat advisory for Monday through the rest of this evening. Once that heat advisory expires at 8, still feeling near 100 degrees at 8 o'clock, and through the evening you see still feeling well into the 80s overnight. I think by the time we're checking in at 10 again, still feeling like 90 degrees. The bottom line, we're kind of in that pattern. We're not getting much break from the heat overnight, which is why these days are going to be so important to take care of yourself. Full details on the week ahead are coming up in your 7-day outlook.
Thanks, Simone. Tonight, Bryant police are investigating after 3 people were found dead from gunshot wounds this morning. Police say they were found around 7:30 on Lena Drive after a man came home and found his wife and in-laws laying on the ground. All 3 believed to have been shot. According to the department, there are no signs that someone forced their way in, but they're still piecing together what exactly happened. Police tell us someone is in custody tonight and will give you more information when it becomes available. It remains unclear whether Iran maintains some nuclear capabilities after U.S. strikes on 3 major sites. While Iran's foreign minister warned of everlasting consequences and said the attack crossed a red line, the U.S. is warning against any countermeasures. CBS's Willie James Inman has the latest on where things stand between each side.
Hours after the U.S. launched airstrikes on 3 key Iranian nuclear sites, President Trump declared the mission a spectacular military success.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
During the strikes called Operation Midnight Hammer, B-2 bombers dropped bunker-busting bombs on the nuclear installations.
The battle damage assessment is ongoing, but our initial assessment, as the chairman said, is that all of our precision munitions struck where we wanted them to strike and had the desired effect, which means especially in Fordo, which was the primary target here.
On Face the Nation, Secretary of State Marco Rubio warned Iran against making any retaliatory moves against the U.S. or its interests.
We'll see what Iran decides to do. I think they should choose the route of peace. We've done everything. We have bent over backwards, okay, to create a deal with these people.
On Capitol Hill, Republicans mostly welcomed President Trump's decision, while some Democrats said the commander-in-chief should have consulted Congress first.
I'm always open to new intelligence, but the procedure should have been that Congress was briefed before we decided to enter war and that we actually had a vote on it.
With Israel and Iran in their second week of battle, the IDF's chief of staff said the campaign is ongoing, adding that the Jewish state has targets to strike and objectives to complete. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
In a post about the strikes, Governor Sanders said, quote, "God bless President Donald Trump and our military for courageously standing up for good against evil and defending America and our ally Israel. President Trump understands what many do not. Peace is achieved through strength," end quote. Meanwhile, up in northwest Arkansas, the city of Fayetteville is doubling down on not assisting immigration and customs enforcement. This after a formal complaint was filed with Arkansas Attorney General over the city's stance. On June 17th, Fayetteville police were called to a traffic stop to assist state police and ICE agents. However, city officials say FPD left the scene and did not engage in the investigation. That sparked criticism from Arkansas State Representative Kendon Underwood, who now wants a ruling from the Attorney General. Meanwhile, Fayetteville City Attorney Kit Williams says no laws were violated.
Our policies in the city are to comply with that state law consistently all the time, and that's what we've been doing since 2019. There's 6 different ways that you can violate the sanctuaries law, and I went through all 6 of them, showing that she had not violated the sanctuaries prohibited law.
Williams says Fayetteville followed state law during the stop and believes the mayor's statement on not assisting ICE was misunderstood. He plans to send a letter to the Attorney General explaining the city's position.
They're terminating on any and all things in Rock Region Metro. Things that can be written warnings or verbal warnings, they're going straight to termination.
Last night in downtown Little Rock, protesters responded to Rock Region Metro, saying the reason for the shortage of drivers falls on them. The protest just days after Rock Region announced the shortage is forcing them to run routes less frequently. Those changes will take effect July 28th, but officials say it's not about cutting coverage and rather about adjusting to what they say is a growing shortage of drivers, as they've lost nearly 20% of their drivers over the past 5 months. Those opposing the changes say they want the administration to sit down with its drivers.
To me, if they wanted to make this change, you get the drivers involved. They run the routes. They know what possibly would work with what, instead of someone else putting these changes together, and I don't see it working.
Again, those changes are expected to go into effect July 28th, and you can look at the new schedules online at rrmetro.org. Yesterday marked 1 year since a gunman opened fire at a grocery store in Fordyce, killing 4 people and hurting 10 others. And the man accused in the rampage, Travis Posey, is awaiting trial at the Ouachita County Jail. His trial is set to start on August 4th in Dallas County as he faces dozens of charges, including 4 counts of capital murder. And as he awaits his fate, the people of Fordyce wait for justice. While the last year has been one of healing for the community, people we spoke to this week say it's also been one of hope.
I believe that with it being this way, I think that it brought the community back together. We became stronger, we became prayerful, and we became hopeful that this type of situation will never happen again in our area.
Tonight at 10, we look back at the tragic day that forever changed Fordyce as THV 11's Rebecca Brown brings us the full story on how the community remains Fordyce strong. And no matter how much time has passed, the pain of losing someone never goes away. The Fordyce community is missing 4 of its own, people with families, people with friends, people with purposes and dreams that will never be realized. Tonight, we want to say their names again and remember each with help from the community that loves them most. This is Ellen Schrum. She's an 81-year-old killed while shopping for groceries she planned to use to make meals for those in need. In the days that followed, her family told Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders they want her to be remembered for the light and joy she brought to others. 63-year-old Shirley K. Taylor was also killed inside the store that day. According to reports, she was checking out when the gunman started shooting. Known as Meemaw, her daughter Angela describes Taylor as a great person who loved her kids and grandchildren. She loved to cook and crochet and took care of others. Angela called her strong and the hardest working woman she has ever known. Roy Sturgis was shot at the grocery store and survived the incident, but unfortunately later died at the hospital there in Fordyce. According to people who were in the store, the 50-year-old was shot while trying to save others. His friends and family praised his bravery and say they'll never forget his sacrifice. Others in the community remembered Sturgis as a good man and a great father. and life had just started for Callie Weems. The 23-year-old was a nurse at the Dallas County Medical Center and was getting ready to celebrate her daughter's first birthday. Callie was shot and killed in the grocery store that day, but not before trying to help others. Investigators say she was shot while giving aid to another victim. One Arkansas state trooper described it as one of the most selfless acts he had ever seen. We hope to hear from Callie's family and others who lost someone so they could share their stories, but they've been asked by prosecutors to hold off as the trial for the accused gunman draws closer. However, Callie's mother, Helen, was gracious enough to send us a statement on the anniversary of her daughter's tragic death. It says, in part, quote, "From June 22nd through every day since, I have awakened to the painful reality that my baby girl no longer walks beside me here, but I've also clung to the truth that she is alive in heaven. That's how I've made it this far. God has a plan for every tear, every scream, every heartbreak, and one day in His time, it will all be revealed," close quote. Helen also shared that Callie was honored with the Arkansas Hospital Association Nurse of the Year Award and the Daisy LPN of the Year Award after her death last year. She says, quote, "In remembering Callie, I want everyone to think of her faith, her courage, her deep love for family and friends, her infectious laughter, and her joy for life." We'll be back right after this.